Hi, I'm Fred McClimans here at RulesFest 2011 in Burlingame, California. With me today is Dr. Tabet. Can you explain a little bit for us what's happened over the past few years in the cloud space? What's led us to where we are today?
We've made a lot of progress. When we look back at the beginnings and the fact that companies were reluctant to move forward. There was some interesting push, let's move to the cloud, let's look at the benefits. And with the downturn and the recession in the market, it was actually a driver for it, in the sense that companies started looking and saying, well, we could save money, we could lower the cost, we could be more efficient, more agile, be more innovative from a business standpoint, which is where we are now. So we came a long way. There's still a lot more work to be done. We unveiled a lot of issues around the regulatory requirements, around security, other types of issues that we have to deal with. But at the same time, the market is growing. We see a lot more adoption, and we look forward to the next steps.
From a technology perspective, there's a lot of confusion about the cloud. People see iCloud, we see Microsoft talking about going into the cloud. When you look at cloud, what are we really talking about here?
Absolutely, Fred. That's a good question. This confusion obviously comes from the fact that there wasn't a consensus in terms of the standards and the definitions. This is coming together right now. So when we look at the cloud, we look at the agility, at the ability to the network, becomes the computer. So we're not going to need those machines anymore. We're looking forward to the new era of information technology with lots of information around and the structure of the semantics around it and so on, so that we can take advantage of it as individuals, as organizations, as the public sector, and vendors and so on. Yeah.
During your presentation today, something struck me. Most people, when they think of cloud computing, they don't think of RulesFest 2011. Yeah. They don't think of reasoning technologies. They don't think of semantic structure. They don't necessarily think of rule sets, artificial intelligence, clearly. What's the linkage between the two?
That's a very good question. When I thought about it initially, in terms of, from our point of view, the importance of this agility, of this dynamic configuration of resources. They're virtualized, they're made available in a location-dependent way, they're made available on demand at your needs based on your requirements. That's pretty much the need for artificial intelligence. That's the need for reasoning, to enable this kind of on-demand policy management of your resources, whether you're an individual at home trying to store your photos somewhere and trying to make them available to your family members and so on, or you're an organization that's trying to do business with another company and making sure that your services can match or you can access them. So that's really what makes AI and reasoning technologies and semantic technologies important for this to become successful over the next few years.
That's an excellent point. I think that the whole notion of data storage has changed fundamentally, and the need to actually provide semantic tagging on data, as you mentioned, security is a huge issue. And we now see many companies that 5 years ago, when cloud was first starting to emerge, would never have thought about putting their secure data out into the cloud. Now we see governments, government agencies, financial organizations putting their information out there. A side note from your presentation, you talked about the legal issues surrounding the storage of data between different countries. Briefly, can you explain that issue there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the barriers at the moment. It's not one of the issues. It's not a technical issue, obviously, right? We can resolve that. If some data in a specific jurisdiction within, let's say, European country is made available to consumers or providers within another jurisdiction, US, Canada, or Japan, or whatever, we need to be able to make sure that the compliance with the proper rules and laws of the countries are actually met. And the issue there, like I said, it's not technical. The technical problem can be solved. It has been done in trading, for example, where now we have real-time trading and real-time compliance in trading systems. It has been done in a lot of other areas. But from a political standpoint, from the understanding of that, that's still, we've got a little bit more kind of work moving forward.
Do you see progress on the legal issue when it comes to government and law?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're making progress. There is understanding, and the thing that I find really encouraging to us as a community at large is the fact that the regulators are getting involved. The lawmakers are getting involved. The European Commission, for example, in the US, we're doing the same thing. And therefore, that's going to provide this kind of understanding and capability. Once we get to that point, I think it would facilitate it.
What are the 3 areas that you see over the next 36 months benefiting the most from advances in cloud computing, cloud technology, regardless of market sector?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, this whole issue of big data. This adoption, being able to take advantage of available information, in fact, knowledge. We're talking about knowledge now, not data, not transactions, not low-level information, but the idea to understand and be able to learn from things and make smart decisions, right? So that's going to be a major one. There's so much information available that's provided through mobile devices, through your smartphones, your iPads, your laptops, your cars, and your all kinds of appliances. That's kind of, I think there's a major benefit there. We're going to make a lot of progress over the next 2-3 years to better understand that, and there will be tools and analytics to help with that.
What market sectors benefit the most? Is it energy, commerce and trade, healthcare? Is there one that stands out to gain more than others, or to be modified or adapted to?
I think it's a very tough question. However, the way we've seen it right now in the marketplace, financial services is one that's benefiting, trying to make up for the lost kind of love between consumers and investors and investment banks and so on. So I think there's interest there in trying to better understand the end users, to better understand your partners and the companies you're working with. That's one of them. Healthcare is another one. Moving to health records and being able to deal with patient data in a secure and private way and following the rules and making it available so that it's agile, so that you can actually provide these tools so that the information is available on demand, on time, anywhere, in any form with specific kind of standards. I think these will benefit. And there are other sectors, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second breakthrough that you anticipate over the next few years?
I think,
and I mean to put you on the spot.
Absolutely, and you did. Well, Fred, I tell you, the thing that at the moment gets me excited is this notion of resources being able to actually tell you what information they have when you ask for it. In the sense that when we have this Internet of Things enabled through cloud computing, now we can get to the point. This will be a breakthrough. It could be at certain levels to start with. For example, it could be medical devices for elderly people that to be able to support their needs, whether it's for medication or for certain kind of measurements. It could be for safety, in trains and cars and of course in a lot of other settings we can imagine. I think this would be an amazing kind of breakthrough in information technology and in society at large. I think for us it would make our lives a little better.
If you had to choose one area where you'd most like to see something happen, what would it be?
Now you really put me on the spot. I think over the next few years what I would like to see is the adoption of semantic technology, just like we adopted the web in the 90s, to get through this kind of creating a new market, creating new innovation, creating new tools and new interactions. I think I would like to see cloud computing enabled through these kind of semantic technologies, through creating ontologies and domain-specific areas for knowledge sharing to have a better, smarter planet. I'd like to see that. It's a term that's been used, I've seen it all over the place, but from my point of view, it's the idea that we are in a global community so we can actually build on this knowledge and drive it forward.
Looking at that, one thing comes to mind, and that's when you talk about semantic structure, when you talk about vocabularies, language comes into play, and I see language consistently being a significant barrier for accurate tagging of data. How do we overcome that?
Well, good question. I mean, that's a really difficult thing. At the moment, there are a lot of communities that are working really hard from a standard standpoint, whether it's ISO, W3C, OMG, ITU, internationally, right? You get communities of people coming together to do that. At the same time, we need to get the domain experts. We need to get the end users to start working with it. We can never solve a problem at 100%, particularly that kind of thing. Let's make it 20% or 50% and move forward. So from that point of view, I would say the standards will play a role as well. And I think that we're talking about semantic tagging. We're talking about bringing semantics to the mainstream. That's what we need to get to.
Doctor, thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it.
I forgot to turn the noise off.